It's pretty good around here thinking about leaving on Saturday and going playing in a game. This time of year, when you're lucky enough to be in a bowl game and you have these practice sessions, it's a really unique feel because you don't have a game coming up on Saturday. You don't know how much time to give them off or how much not to give them off. You don't know how structured practices should be. You don't know how physical practices should be. You don't know how much you should do with the younger guys. So it's kind of just a hit and miss deal until you actually get into game week. Now our players are all excited about going to Hawaii, and the Hawaii Bowl has some wonderful experiences for them, so they'll be happy to be there and excited about it. And I think they'll get ready to play too, and it ought to be an awful good game.
Is that evidence? It seems to me at least to be evidence that your thesis is right.
Well, we're doing it different than this year than we have in the past. Now, in the past, I think it was very beneficial for the next year's team. The bowl practices were very beneficial for the next year's team. And in the process, maybe we eliminated some of the preparation we needed for this year's team preparing well in the bowl game. So this year we have given them much more time off, and we're practicing like we normally do during the season. So we're not using the time to prepare next year's players for next year. We've eliminated that segment out of our scheme, and we're just practicing like we normally do, but they're getting a lot more time off. Now, I don't know if that's better, worse, or in between. We'll find out on how they play.
Why are you not, Rob? Why are you not working?
Mainly because this team is done some very, I don't know, special things. I mean, they've done things that haven't been done around here for a long, long time. And they have a chance to do something else that hasn't been done here in a long, long time. They've got a chance to win 11 games. And if things fall right, they got a chance to be in the top 25. And in the past, which the bowl games that I've been the head coach of, we haven't won very many of them. And that doesn't really bother me because I still think it's a reward. But when you have a team that's done things that haven't been done in a long, long time, you would like to give them the best chance to finish it off the right way. And so I thought that the way we did it in the past hasn't given them the best opportunity, obviously, because of the results. So we're going to try to do it differently this time, and hopefully it gives them a better chance to win.
One thing you obviously haven't done in a long, long time either is play 14 games. I mean,
I've never played 14 games in a season.
Like the season started about a year ago now.
Yeah, the season's been really long, but when you win, it's obviously enjoyable. It's enjoyable to go to the next game when you've won. I mean, so it has been a really long season. I think the players feel it too. But I think they can get up for another game. I mean, they should be fresh. I mean, they've been getting a lot of time off. They should be physically able. Now, how skilled we are, that's the big question. How sharp we are is really a big question in my mind because we haven't practiced near as much as I have in the past getting ready for a bowl game.
There's some news today that Cincinnati's starting quarterback's not going to make the trip. Had you heard that, and had you changed preparation?
No, I have heard that. Their backup quarterback actually started 2 games for him and finished off a game and threw for 500 and something yards in the game that he finished up. So both teams will be playing with their backup quarterbacks. He's a good player. I mean, he's thrown for I don't know the exact stats. I think he's thrown for 1,400 yards or right at 1,400 yards and several touchdowns. So I don't think the drop off is very much, except he's younger. And both teams are going in with young backup quarterbacks. Ours is a redshirt freshman, so is theirs. Theirs has played more than ours, so I think it's equal. Doesn't make a difference.
So you probably haven't had much chance to look at him other than just the stats, though. How much do you know about the backup?
I've watched every single That's the other thing. I'm sick and tired of watching film. You know, in a normal week, I can barely get enough time to watch enough film. Well, now we've had 2 weeks, and guess what? I'm watching the same film over and over again, and I've watched every snap that young man has had on film. Now, I don't know if that means you're better prepared or not. I probably can tell you what they're going to run better than I normally can, but that doesn't mean you can stop it. You still have to execute your defense to stop it. It's still about players executing.
Apologies if you've said this before, but is there the joy of getting a bowl game, but also conflicted with we're sending a bunch of people between 18 and 24 to Hawaii and keeping them under control?
Oh, I don't think there's any issues. I don't know if I've said this in this room, so if I haven't, I'm glad I get to say it. Over the last 3 or 4, I've been a head coach for quite a while now, and every football team has different personalities, and I have fewer issues with the last 3 years. I've had fewer issues with young men in this program than any others that I've ever coached, and this group fits right in with that. We have a few knuckleheads, obviously, but very few compared to a lot of teams I've been on. And I don't have any concerns that we'll have any issues. If we have an issue, we discipline pretty good, and it won't be a big deal to the rest of the team because they know what comes when you do something wrong. But I don't anticipate them doing anything wrong. They're going to have a good time, though, and I'm going to let them have a good time. So.
What about you having a good time? Is there anything outside of the bowl game you're looking forward to? Like a roasted pig or something? What's going on?
Well, this bowl game is more. There's less free time in this bowl lineup than any one I've ever been to. They seem to have things for us to do all day long. They seem to have things for us to do at night. And so there's very little time to practice. You have to practice in a very small window. And I'll enjoy the things we do. But I won't enjoy them as much as the players will. Because I worry about the game. They don't. I worry about the game coming up.
Have you vacationed in Hawaii very much?
No, very little. But I actually, when I was at another school, I actually recruited Hawaii for 3 years. So that doesn't mean when you go over there and recruit, doesn't mean you're vacationing, but I kind of know the highways and I know the streets and I know everything that Honolulu has to offer.
Have you ever done parasailing?
No. You want me to? You want me to fall? You want me to fall off or something? They have safety belts on those things, don't they?
It'd be a good photo op.
Good photo op. Yeah.
Having knuckleheads on a team, how much of that is luck of the draw and how much of that is both screening them before they get here and what you do with them once they're here?
This is my opinion. I don't have any facts to back this up, so this is my opinion. My opinion, when you have 115 or 120 young men, 18 to 22 or 3, there are issues with them doing some things at times. And when you recruit that many guys to come to your program, you are going to get a knucklehead or two. But if you have really good kids in your program, really good people in your program, they attract other people like them. So as soon as you get your team full of guys that are good guys, you have a much better chance of recruiting nothing but good guys because they attract each other. They come here, they'll feel comfortable with the guys you have in your program, so they have similar personalities when those things are in question. If you have a bunch of knuckleheads on your team, guess who they attract? They attract a bunch of other knuckleheads. And that does not mean they can't play. I've been around a couple of teams that had a bunch of knuckleheads on them, but we could play. And we had really good teams, but the rest of the time they were a pain in the you-know-what. But they could play. Well, we got some guys that can play now, and we have very few problems. That's a much more fun group to be around, I'll promise you that.
Do you see that kind of becoming a characteristic of this program where the players themselves kind of weed those people out?
I don't think they purposely weed them out. I think when you're recruiting a guy, he comes and if he feels comfortable with the guys that are here, you have a better chance of getting them. So if the guys you have here are good guys, guess who they attract? They attract other good guys. And so I think there's a chance that that could continue, yes.
Rocky, at what point does your conference start to pull back the development of your program? And by that I mean, you've obviously reached a certain point, but you didn't get to play anybody in your conference rated in the top half of Division I. You got sent to a bowl that is probably, no disrespect to the bowl, but beneath what your team probably deserved this year. At what point does the conference start to create a glass ceiling for this program?
I don't know. I don't think about those kind of things. All I think about is the situation we're in, and we try to do the best we can with what we've got.
Which you've done, but to take that next step, don't you?
I think if you play well enough through the entire season, you'll get a chance to prove yourself. I mean, if we'd have won 2 more games preseason, guess what? We would be one of those teams we're talking about and be in one of those bowl games. So you can do it yourself. It has nothing to do with the conference. What it has to do is with resources, okay? And the non-Power 5 teams don't have the resources that the Power 5 teams do, and the gap is getting bigger every single day. It can be done at our level, but it's much harder at our level because of lack of resources. It can be done. It's just harder to do. But the way our schedule is set up from now on out, if we play good enough, we'll take care of it. It has nothing to do with the league. We'll take care of it. I mean, last year Boise State was in the Fiesta Bowl. And eventually that playoff's going to be 8 teams or maybe 16 teams, and then you're going to have, every once in a while, you're going to have a non-Power 5 team that's good enough to beat them. And they'll have to let you in, and guess what happens when they let you in? Now you got a chance to prove you belong. Now that might be way past my lifetime, but I think the expansion of the playoff system is pretty close to right around the corner.
Rocky, can you talk about your seniors going into this last game this year, as far and specifically Feeney and Whitaker?
Well, I think that all the seniors have a view of this as their last chance to play football. I mean, maybe we have a senior or two that's going to get a chance in the NFL, but not for sure. And I would guess that those guys probably are not going to get, unless one of them got a free agent contract or something, they're not draftable players. And both of them love to play football, and their upbringing in the Oceanside program has developed them into competitors and winners. I think that was developed way back when, and I think it was their desire was increased when they went to that high school with that coach. Coach Carroll's one of the best coaches I've ever been around. So they brought that attitude and helped our program have the similar attitude. They brought that attitude to our program, but they both loved to play, and so I can remember being in that boat. That's an exciting deal and a sad deal all in the same, because they'll know it's their last game probably. They'll try to play good, but it's kind of sad when you've been playing. They've probably been playing since they were 8 years old. I'm just guessing, in Pop Warner and stuff. That's a lot of time and effort playing something you like to do, and then all of a sudden it's not there anymore. That's hard to do.
When you recruit, have you found much difference between a good player from a program that doesn't have much tradition, as opposed to like an Oceanside kid who's been through a program that has a lot of tradition?
I think the biggest difference is expectation level. I don't see any difference in how hard they work, how badly they want to be good, how excited they are about playing. I don't see that, but if you haven't been in those kind of programs, you don't necessarily expect to win. You work hard enough that you want to win, and you're hoping you win, but when you come from programs like that, you expect to win, which, in my opinion, when you get in stressful situations, you've already been there before, so it's not a new experience for you, so you perform just fine. Now, if you get enough of those guys in your program, they teach the other ones how to do it. I think way back when we started this whole deal during the season, I think our team now expects to win. And when we were 1-3 and everybody was down on them, obviously they weren't. I mean, this wouldn't have happened if they didn't expect it to change. It doesn't happen by accident now, I'm telling you. And they didn't practice any harder. Maybe they went into the game with a little better attitude maybe, or a little stronger resolve. But I think our team expects to win too.
Rocky, I heard a story that when you announced to your staff the all-conference teams, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Special Teams Player of the Year, that when everybody walked out of the meeting, you hadn't told them that you were the Coach of the Year. So one, is that true? And two, why didn't you tell them at that meeting?
I don't think I told them because it's not a big deal. I mean, if you have a good football team that plays well, you got a chance to be Coach of the Year. I didn't make one tackle. I didn't catch one pass. I didn't run for one touchdown. I didn't perform. Players win games. Coaches don't win games. Don't ever kid yourself. Coaches do not win games, even though some coaches spout off like they do. Coaches don't win games. They put their players, their athletes in a spot that allows them to have the best chance to win. Okay, coaches lose games. Coaches lose games by not preparing their players good enough or by making the wrong decision in a critical situation. You can lose a game. Coaches can lose a game. There's not one coach in this world that's ever won a game. Now, there's a bunch of them who will argue with me, but they have bigger egos than I do. So that's a reflection of our team and our coaching staff, but it's a reflection of our team winning. It's not a reflection on me. It really isn't. That's a reflection of our team winning. So I think all those awards are, by the way, not that those kids didn't deserve those awards. They did. But if we'd have been 4-7, they wouldn't have got that award. They might have played just as good as they did, and they wouldn't have got that award if we were 4-7. So those are team awards that are rewarded to good teams. So why tell them? They're gonna find out.
Are you uncomfortable in the spotlight?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Why?
I don't know. I guess it's my I don't know. It's my personality. I guess I don't. I'm not uncomfortable being out front, if that's what you mean. I'm not out, but being told that you're good at something, I'm very uncomfortable with that because I don't believe I am. I think I'm like every other coach.